Written and first published by Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie in 2013, Americanah is an acclaimed award-winning book that boasts such strong themes such as Americanization, immigration, identity, feminism, love, racism, gender rights, the American dream, culture clashes, and the relevance of education. The story begins when she gets her hair braided at a salon in America in preparation of her return to her home nation in Nigeria. Ifemelu, after she has closed down her popular blog about race and broken up with her black American boyfriend Blaine, the story flashes back to her childhood growing up in Lagos, Nigeria, when she meets and falls in love with a boy called Obinze as teenagers in secondary school all the way up to university. They are in love in Nigeria at a time the nation is going through massive political instability and people seeking to leave the country. Ifemelu later wins a scholarship and visa to go to the USA for her further university studies in Philadelphia, thus separating the two. However, they still keep in touch one day, hoping to reunite in the future. Ifemelu discovers firsthand what it means to be a black person or an African living in America. She lives in Trenton, a much poorer part of Princeton City. This is where she encounters racism for the very first time and the many varieties of racial profiling and distinctions. She faces stereotyping as well as both social and financial issues. She discovers a scholarship isn't full, but her student visa makes it illegal for her to work. So her aunt Uju gives her a fake ID card which fails. In desperation to support herself, she later goes to work for a shady tennis coach as his relaxation assistant. She later quits after one encounter when this coach touches her inappropriately, and because of the pain, shame, and depression caused by this, she begins to not respond to Obinze's messages. Ifemelu then gets a break working as a babysitter for a white woman called Kimberly, where she meets her wealthy cousin who takes a fancy to her. They begin dating, and when Ifemelu graduates, Kurt helps her to try and get a job to sponsor her green card. However, for the job interview, Ifemelu must have her hair relaxed for it to look more like quote American standards. Obinze is hurt by a sudden silence. Nonetheless, he graduates and moves to England, where he lives for some time but becomes an illegal immigrant after his visa expires before he can find a stable job. Obinze works menial jobs there for a bit, but despite his best efforts to stay, he is later discovered and deported. Ifemelu later cheats on Kurt partially out of frustration that she feels like he doesn't appreciate her enough. He doesn't appreciate black magazines like Essence enough in a white-dominated media society. Kurt then breaks up with her after being encouraged to do so. Ifemelu then begins a blog to air out her ideas about being black and how she sees race relations called race tint, or various observations about American blacks by a non-American black, which proves to be a huge smash hit online. She later meets a black American professor again named Blaine, who she also begins dating and even moves in with him later on. When Ifemelu doesn't attend a black protest Blaine organized, they have a huge fight which almost leads to their breakup if it wasn't for a shared passion for Barack Obama's candidacy. After Barack Obama's candidacy, she becomes restless and decides to break up with Blaine, quit her blog, and leave her life in the US behind for a home return to Nigeria. As she prepares her return, she hears that her auntie Uju's son and cousin Dike has tried to commit suicide and rushes to be by his side, thus delaying her homecoming trip. When she eventually makes it home to Nigeria, she is nervous at first but begins finding a fit again in her home nation. Although she is hesitant at first to reach out to Obinze again, who is a now married real estate mogul, she thinks about her first love, Obinze. Obinze is now married with a daughter but does not have the same emotional connection with his wife Ngozi he had with Ifemelu, which makes him reconsider their relationship when she sends him an email. The now wealthy Obinze shows enthusiasm to meet her again. The two considered their relationship in light of their diverse experiences and identities during their many years apart. They rekindled their relationship from where it left off as Ifemelu tells him about her eventful experiences in America. Obinze is now approached with a tough decision of whether to divorce his beautiful wife Ngozi and make it official with Efemelu, who doesn't only want to be his mistress to be with him. It's a decision he goes back and forth with, but eventually realizes although he still wants to be in his daughter's life, he loves Efemelu more than her mother Ngozi. So he leaves her for Efemelu.
Americanah is a personal assessment of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's young life and student as a Nigerian immigrant in USA. Many of the things that happen to Efemelu in the novel have actually happened to her in real life.
And then he got up and came round and very casually slipped his hand under my shirt, under my bra, and squeezed my breast.
Just like that?
Yes.
My American roommate was shocked by me. She asked where I had learned to speak English so well and was confused when I said that Nigeria happened to have English as its official language. She asked if she could listen to what she called my tribal music and was consequently very disappointed when I produced my tape of Mariah Carey. She assumed that I did not know how to use a stove.
Like Naomi Jackson's The Star Side of Bedio, and contrary to the American portrayal in Nollywood films, America in Americanah is rarely seen as glamorous. Although they go abroad to find better lives and opportunity, the main characters soon find out that every place does indeed have its own flaws too, but it's only about the versions that differ. The novel assesses and exposes the negative side of life in the USA and the so-called American dream, as the American society consistently reminds Efemelu in many various ways, whether it be by cultural stereotypes that undermine her as a person, the economy that caters to its own people first, and even some of the nasty, sexist, racist people she sometimes encounters in America. Efemelu, or even Obinze, gradually realized that overseas, although indeed is expected to have greater opportunity for everyone as opposed to Africa, it is basically not always the case, especially for immigrants. This is how Efemelu realizes that home is best and decides to make her way back home to Nigeria.
If you have an African novel you want to see Dudu summarize, do not hesitate to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more original, great Afrocentric content like this. Thanks for watching Mimsy Dudu Summaries.